Hi, this is Miss Landis here. Today we'll be discussing how to generate equivalent fractions on a number line. So this video comes from Envision's Topic 8, Lesson 2, Generating Equivalent Fractions Using Number Lines. Now this is the number line that we'll be using in class. So as you can see, it has one whole, halves, it has thirds, all the way down to twelfths. And at the bottom it has benchmark fractions, which we'll discuss in class. Benchmark fractions are kind of those base fractions that we use that are the most commonly used fractions, and they help us compare other fractions. In class, when we're looking for equivalent fractions on a number line, we'll be using this and putting it inside our communicators and using a ruler to line up the fractions. So when we're looking for equivalent fractions on a number line, say we wanted to find fractions equivalent to 1/4, I would line my ruler up with the 1/4 tick mark and look for other fractions that fall along that line. So I can see right now other fractions that are equivalent to 1/4 would be 2/8 and 3/12. Based on the fact that they all line up together along that straight edge of the ruler. And we'll be using this number line a lot in class to look for equivalent fractions. When you're looking for equivalent fractions using number lines, sometimes you'll see a blank number line and you might have to label it. So this is an example problem from the Envision's text. The directions say, write two fractions for the point on each number line. So first we have to label the number lines. When you're labeling number lines, it might seem a little bit tricky at first. Sometimes students want to count the lines, but we're actually counting the amount of space between. So each space between would be one part. So we are looking for how many parts the number line is broken up into. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parts. That means we're labeling our number line in tenths, starting with 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 'And obviously we know that 1 would be equal to 10/10. That's equivalent to 1. So we want to find two fractions for the point on each number line. So the point on the number line is 4/10. So if we're looking for a fraction equivalent to 4/10, we can use our number line here and look for tenths. So one thing that I could do is find 4/10 and see if there's anything that lines up with 4/10. So using the straight edge of my ruler, I can see that 2/5 actually lines up with 4/10. So 2/5 would be an equivalent fraction. And since we found out that 4/10 is the point located right here, all we're doing is writing two fractions for that point. So we already know from our labels that 4/10 names the point. And also, we can say that it's equal to 2/5. And the students will have a copy of this to help them with their homework, to take home with them and bring back to class. Let's try it again with this number line. I can see in comparison the spaces between each tick mark on this number line are slightly bigger than the spaces over here. So I'm going to have less parts. My denominator is going to be smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces. So I know I'm labeling my number line in eighths, starting with 1/8. Now I can see that where the dot is 2/8. And we know that 1 is equal to 8/8. So we are naming two fractions for that point. I can see that 2/8 is located at the point. Now let's generate an equivalent fraction in looking at our number line. So what I can do is find the eighths. We know that we were at 2/8. Line it up. 2/8 is equivalent to 1/4 or 3/12 down here because they all line up in the same spot. So I'm going to do a little bit of extra work and say 2/8 is equal to 1/4. 2/8 is also equal to 3/12. Now I named three fractions for that point. Write two equivalent fractions for 1/4. Well, guess what? We just found that. So this is an example question actually pulled from the benchmark test that the students will be taking at the end of this unit. So in writing two equivalent fractions for 1/4, I can use my number line. I already found out that the 1/4 lines up with 2/8 and 3/12. Now I have that fraction knowledge to answer a benchmark test question. 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8 and 3/12. I hope this video helped you better understand how to find equivalent fractions on a number line. Moving forward, we'll be talking more about how to find equivalent fractions using multiplication and using division as well, which we did preview in the video that I made for lesson 8-1. So I hope this video helped you out, and I'll see you guys in class.